Hi, all you web crawlers out there. Welcome to this session of Web and Wisdom. We're so glad you're here with us. Today, I have a very accomplished guest and a good friend of mine, Trinity Albertson. And Trinity is an expert and strategist in business administration and project management. She has spent most of her career working with healthcare organizations, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and professional service providers to create lucrative and sustainable organizations by transforming their delivery. As a researcher, educator, and administrator, Trinity strongly stands for being able to have it all. As a veteran of the United States Army and still a serving spouse of an active duty service member, she has experienced her own journey of struggle to freedom, fulfillment, and joy. Trinity has a master's in business administration and project management. She is also a certified professional coder and certified risk adjustment coder from the American Academy of Professional Coders, and is also a clinical documentation specialist. She attended Thomas Edison State College for her Associates of Applied Science in Electronics after separating from the Army as a Department of Defense certified biomedical equipment technician. She attended Trident University International for her bachelor's in science, healthcare management, and her master's in business administration, project management, graduating summa cum laude. Trinity is currently working on her doctorate in education, leadership, and administration, and has created an entrepreneurial development program, Mastermind, the Aspire program. That is founded on research in educational delivery, key principles of the mastermind, mentoring methods, and state of mind versus state of being. She fully believes that the mind needs to be elevated and exercised, and that each of us is a product of the vision of our future. She is truly a passionate servant leader and lives by the motto of being part of the change she wants to see in the world. She also genuinely believes that coaching and education are some of the first few ways we can make that change. The systems she has developed help her clients get the impact they set out, and the reimbursement that they work so hard for in a feel-good transformational way. So let's get ready to meet Trinity and get to know her a little bit better on this session of Web and Wisdom. I did so good, and then I got tongue-tied at the end.
Thank you for such a brilliant introduction, Tara.
Hey, you are so very accomplished. And I've known you for a while, and I know you're working on your doctorate, and then I'm sitting here and I'm reading and I'm going, well, good God, Trinity.
It has been an extremely fulfilling life. I will have to tell you that. And, as proud as I am of my own accomplishments, it was really the journey through all of them that's made this life extraordinary for me.
Yeah, and it's always the journey.
Yeah.
We have our ups and our downs, and I have gone through your mastermind program and I still to this day find huge value in it. And so I was really excited that you were going to come on and talk about yourself and tell us, what you're doing and all of the information. And we don't want the Cliff Notes. We want the novel version. So go ahead. Tell us all about it, Trinity.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Tara. So like you said, I'm a still serving military spouse. Actually, my husband is overseas right now, but I get him back in 6 days.
Ooh.
It's been a year, so I'm super excited for that. And when I first started my business, it was really at a means to put an end to all the gaps in my resume, So I've been following my husband around for almost 12 years now. And every time that he gets on orders and we have to move, I have to quit my job. And sometimes I go unemployed for 3 months. Sometimes I'm unemployed for 6, 9 months. I will tell you, I've been extremely blessed in all the years I've been following my husband around to not only stay in my field, in my industry, but to continue to move up that corporate ladder. Mm-hmm. I come from a healthcare administration background. And so in 2017, when I decided to go out on my own and start my own business, it was actually a doctor that I had worked with in North Carolina about 7 years earlier. And not a lot of people know this part of my journey. Ms. Tara, I don't even think I've ever shared it with you, but it was where my son was born in North Carolina, Fort Bragg. I had worked with a lot of behavioral health providers over there and helped run their administration. 7 years later, I'm living in a very different state, very different stage of my journey. And she finds me on LinkedIn. Haven't talked to her in 7 years. Says, Trinity, are you still doing healthcare administration? I say, yeah, sure am. She's like, still following your husband around? Yeah, sure am. She said, have you ever thought about being a business owner? I said, no, actually, I haven't. And granted, I come from a line of serial entrepreneurs. So the fact that this never crossed my mind is kind of silly to me. But I go, okay, so tell me more, right? And she says, listen, and this is a provider that has had her own practice for over 20 years at this point, right? Very successful psychologist. And she says, give me 6 months. I'll teach you everything that you need to know about starting and running a business if I can be your first client, because I need you to work on my administration. So that's how it started.
That's awesome.
She kind of just handed it to me on a silver platter, nicely tied up with a golden bow. And I said, absolutely, I'd be crazy not to take you up on this offer. So she did. She really brought me into this journey of my life, this entrepreneurship journey. And of course, I took it and just ran with it, right?
Right.
So the first couple years, it was, like I said, I come from that healthcare background. So I was helping all of the, private practice, physician-owned, physician-ran medical groups that I could find, really just help them learn how to run their administration a lot better, right? So increase their clinical outcomes, their patient satisfaction, of course, their bottom line, their revenue. Healthcare reimbursement is a whole other ball game. And so to be able to see the results that I was able to help all of these practices with for a couple years was extremely rewarding and fulfilling. And then, you get to a point where you're like, I am meant for more. And I don't know what that is, but I have this feeling, right? So you're like, okay, well, how do I chase this thing? Tara, right before COVID hit, I woke up one morning and I felt like God was telling me, Trinity, you're going back to school. And I wrestled with that. I had graduated with my MBA several years earlier. I had spent most of my children's life telling them, sorry, Mommy can't right now. Mommy has homework. And I never wanted to go back to school. But God really put this desire on my heart. And not only was it to go back to school for my doctorate, but to change industries from healthcare to education.
Right.
And I'm telling you, can't make this stuff up, Miss Tara, because, that was not a dream of mine. It is not something I had on my radar until God put this desire in my heart. And that's what started my journey to today. When I started my doctorate, right when COVID started at the beginning of 2020, I had to decide very quickly what I was going to spend the next 3 years of my life on, doing research on. And so 6 weeks later, probably almost 100 dissertations under my belt, just reading them, which is extremely grueling. I finally, discovered it. I kept coming across these statistics, and anybody that knows me, I'm a numbers girl. Okay. Data is near and dear to my heart. And, there was this one alarming statistic that kept popping up in the research that I had been doing. And it was that 50 to 60% of all new businesses go out of business in their first 5 years. And what made get me like real riled up, right, is that then when I dug into the research on why, I couldn't find it. It just was not there. There's very limited research on entrepreneurs. There's very limited research on what makes us successful running a business venture. There's very limited research on the disciplines that even, kind of make up an education program for entrepreneurship. And so that was it for me. I was like, that's it. I'm going to find out why. And I'm going to spend however many years developing systems and programs and educations and masterminds and collaborations to help every business owner that I can find not become that statistic. And that's where the Aspire program was born, that mastermind that you just talked about, that you were a part of. And it has helped so many women in the couple of years that it's been in existence.
It was incredible. I really enjoyed it. And I took so much away, and gosh, we finished the 6 months in June, I think was it. And I'm still calling on my mastermind group for support and suggestions and help. And the value is just, it's incomprehensible. So, but through the course of this is something that I didn't know as you were talking. So through the course of doing your doctorate and setting up the Aspire program, have you figured out or had any epiphanies as to why entrepreneurs go out of business so fast?
Thank you so much for asking the question. Absolutely. So, friends, my research is not done at all. And this is probably going to be a topic that I spend many, many, many years on, even outside of dissertation phase. And it comes down to a couple things. And the reason why I talk about helping women in my group is because women really do have a different set of challenges than our male counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it. And the number one thing is our self-efficacy.
Yeah.
It's our own belief in ourselves.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. It's hard. There is no part of this journey that is easy. I'm sure that you can attest to that.
Yeah.
We need the support. We need the guidance. We need the confidence, the motivation. We need all of those things. And a lot of women, we don't get that from ourselves unless we do a lot of personal development.
Right.
And that takes a lot of accountability to do all that work on your own.
It does.
We learn more from other people, right? Hence
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, so much of what we learned and talked about when we were in our sessions together as the group was, okay, I've been doing something and it's been working for me. But then somebody says, well, I do something, it's very similar to how I do it. So it's just a tweak to something I do that makes it that much better. Or something that I've been struggling with because I wasn't quite sure how to fit something in. Somebody says, oh, this is all you have to do. It's like, why didn't I see that? It's like sometimes just that collaboration that I think that we get is an education that is you don't get going to school, because things that I've learned, things that you've learned, we can share. And so maybe I've got a takeaway of something that happened that you didn't necessarily have, or you've learned something over here that I need over here. And because we're coming together, we just are able to bolster each other and help to propel us forward. My brother, has his book, Going Upstream Without a Paddle. And it's really these kinds of relationships that you build and these connections that you make that actually help you to propel, because they keep you with your mindset in a positive, motivated type of a way that you sometimes can take on. I think of women, I think you're right, take on that. We self-deprecate a lot. And so when you're with this group of people that then have become this lifetime group of people for you, they call you on it. Hey, don't do that. That's not how you're supposed to be thinking. Come on, change the way you think. And I mean, you and Becky were excellent at that, but it's a great program. And I didn't know that that's what motivated you to start it, was that you just wanted to understand more about why entrepreneurs stop or I don't want to call it failures. I think a lot of times we have bumps in the road and we give up. And so it's not necessarily a failure, because to me, a failure is just a learning experience.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you have to get back up. Failure is when you stop,
Right.
So that's very, very interesting. So how many kids do you have?
I've got 2 kids. I've got a 15-year-old stepdaughter and a 10-year-old son.
Wow, 15-year-old. I'm so glad I'm an empty nester. So glad I'm an empty
And I'm just coming into that phase, and I'm remembering all the things that I put my parents through. So it's payback time.
Yeah. You go through a little payback, and you just kind of have to remember that you did the same things that they're doing at one time. And so you got to be real chill. Chill.
That's great.
So when are you done with your doctorate? This year?
I will officially graduate next August, so in a year. But my dissertation phase ends in December of this year.
And that's how we met, because somehow you got in touch with my brother, and he's like, Tara, you've got to get involved with this girl. She's working on her doctorate, and she's got this mastermind. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, all right. And I didn't know what it was. I'm like, okay, I'll do it, because I watched him go through his doctorate and the work that he put in. I'm like, well, if she needs me to help her with something that I can do, sure, I'll be there. That's not a problem at all.
And I'm so greatly appreciative for that too
It was,
today. It is so hard to find research participants. And Miss Tara, this has just blossomed into such an awesome friendship. It's so rewarding.
yes, it is. No, it's since I've met you, everything that's coming in about it has been just the relationships I've built, the support that I get, and I like being able to offer that support as well, and say, hey, guess what happened, because you get somebody that can, if no one else is around, you can always say, hey, guess what happened to me today? And you've got that person that's going to celebrate with you, so it's just, I can't say enough about the program. And so you've got it now where people can join. And what does that process look like?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that as well. So it used to be closed, right? Because I had to control the research group.
Right.
But now that I'm in the end of the dissertation phase, the program is open. It's open enrollment. The program is 6 months long. Anybody can join at any time. And so what I love about this program, Tara, is I did the research, right? Not only did I do the research, but I invested in my own coaching, my own consulting, my own personal development. Let me tell you, well over a hefty amount, okay, 5 figures or more over the last couple of years. And you look at all the different education programs in like a higher education institution, and you look at the curriculum and you look at how those are structured, right? And we know that colleges and universities have a lot of success. Obviously, we can look at their graduation rates, we can look at their, post-graduation employment rates, and that's all great. But entrepreneurs need more. There's something else to that delivery. And so when I was going through all of the coaching programs that I invested in over the years, you have a variety. You have some that are a mastermind. You have some that are a one-on-one. You have some that they're like pre-recorded templates and classes, and they're like, here, it's done for you. Here you go. The only work you have to do is just watch it and implement it, right? What I love about the Aspire program is it's all of it.
Exactly.
All of it.
Yeah, it is. It's like you've taken it all and kind of smushed it into one, and it all works together. And yes, and the accountability and all of that is very, very helpful. And it's interesting because from what I have understood just going through it is just because in our group, we maybe had somebody come in and talk to us about a particular topic, that may not be the same route that you take with your next group because that may not be what they need. And so you're really getting tailored education and tailored, what I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but it's very much for the group that you're in. So if somebody raised their hand and said, hey, I need to find out about financing options, you'll bring somebody else in. If somebody said, well, hey, I'm really struggling with just getting past my mental,
the mindset,
a part of myself, well, then let's bring in, somebody else and let's talk about it, or let's give you some de-stressing mechanisms that you can take, besides just the, go and breathe and meditate, what other things can we do to de-stress, help you de-stress. And so I thought that was really, really interesting too, because what we needed in our group isn't necessarily what another group needs, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I thought was really special about your program, is how tailored it is.
Thank you. I do not pretend to be the subject matter expert on all things entrepreneurship, product, service, D2C, B2C, right? So there's only so much that I can be, I can develop with my own self-mastery. And so I am not afraid to bring in the subject matter expert. If I hear that this is what you need, I want to make sure that you have access to the information. I am all about just bringing down the barriers, right?
Exactly.
And creating greater access to the tools and resources that you need. And that was number 2. Tara, outside of the education, the knowledge domain, and of course the capital, right? Because we all need capital. It takes money to start and run a business. And that was the other biggest barrier to success. It was the resources, it was the network, and it was the support. And so that's what I've just strived so hard to build, and really tried to build it the right way.
Yeah, bringing down those barriers, and it was phenomenal. And then what's amazing is when you get involved with a group like this, where you start your mindset is transformed and you start looking at things a different way, and then you start moving differently and interacting with people differently, and finding yourself becoming a subject matter expert in things that you didn't think you were. Because when we set everything up, I had to go out and figure out how to get all of our stuff set up with the government. I thought we should do some maybe do some government contracting, which isn't necessarily for every entrepreneur or business, but there's a learning curve there. And then I actually found other people who have done it already that then have provided information. So I've got all of this under my belt, so that as I'm going through things, or, if I see in the mastermind or even in our own business, somebody says, hey, we're working on their website, but they've got something else going on. I've got something else that I can provide. Right. Our subject matter for us is far beyond just web development, because we know some of the ins and outs of just small business and growing it. And we have this, I have now, and so does Garrett and Ryan, this wealth of information and these people that we know and these contacts that we have, that we can say, hey, if I don't know it, I got a girl. I got a guy, I got somebody that I can say, here, they can, if they don't know exact answers, they can point you in a direction that I can't. And sometimes that's all somebody needs, and that we want to always, in our business, make our customers feel supported as a business and not just as something that we're taking your money. Right. And that to me is important, because it takes a village to raise kids. I think that it takes a community to support a community. And so that was so transformative too in your group, really was.
Thank you. So eloquently stated, really.
Okay. So we have learned all about Trinity and her program. And I think you sent over all of your contact information and is there a link in there for them to be able to join Aspire?
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Anybody that wants to check out the program, just go to theaspireprogram.com. All the information is on there. A direct link to my calendar is on there. Feel free to reach out to me, schedule with me. My email's on there. Just theaspireprogram.com.
It's great. It's great. But now what we're going to do, Trinity, is we're going to go into our next segment, which is my new fun segment. I'm having a great time with this, called the UX segment. And in tech terms, UX means user experience. So we have to have a great user experience. We have to provide it. And that's what we're doing here. So we're going to go to our pod decks questions. And I'm going to have to answer the same questions you are. So if you look stumped, I'll answer first. That's fine. We can just kind of go back and forth. If you think you're ready, then you can go for it. So and we usually try and do this for about 15 minutes or so. then we'll move into the next part.
This sounds like fun. I'm ready.
It's going to be fun. Okay, so do you shout out answers at the TV when you're watching quiz shows?
Yes.
Me too. Yes, and I'll yell at the person answering. Don't be watching. You dummy, answer so.
Dude, how did you miss that? Yes.
It's like, come on, you know that answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you ever met any celebrities?
Dirk Bentley.
Okay, I don't even know who that is.
What?
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh, he's a country artist. He actually lives in Telluride, Colorado, but he does the Seven Peaks Festival in Buena Vista every year. I know this last year it didn't happen because of COVID, but let me tell you, the man knows how to throw an event, and it's like a 3-day camping event, and he brings in all kinds of country artists, and you just party with all of them for a weekend.
Oh, that sounds like fun. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of what not everybody would consider celebrities, because they kind of delve into the Christian music genre. I've met a lot of those, but I also had the opportunity to meet Roma Downey a few years ago. She did Touched by an Angel. She was the redhead angel, and then her husband Mark Barnett produces like The Voice, and there was one of the shows. Anyway, so I was working with a nonprofit, and I was working in the fundraising part, and we had a dinner, a fundraising event at her house where her chef cooked, and yeah, so it was a lot of fun. But so I mean, I got to meet her very intimately, and she's very sweet, very, very sweet, very kind. But as far as mainstream people, that's probably the most mainstream celebrity that I've ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool experience.
It was. And not anything against Roma, because I loved her. I loved Touched by an Angel, but I was more excited to see her home and then her yard, because she lives in Malibu, so she lives up on the cliff, and it just goes right out to the ocean. And that I could have just sat there. It's like I have to work, and I was all over the place working, and I just wanted to just sit there and just stare, and just, oh, this is so great. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Okay, so what will we find if we look at the bottom of your closet today?
A lot of shoes.
Right now I hate folding laundry. I don't mind sorting laundry. I don't mind washing laundry. I don't mind drying laundry. I hate folding laundry. So I have a laundry basket of clean clothes in the bottom of my closet, and some shoes. But it's usually clothes because I'll take them off and be like, I'll hang that up later.
Yep, that's why I have kids.
Okay, if you had a magic wand, which are the 3 things you would change in the world?
Obviously hunger. Any type of people going without. So food, water, all of the basic things. Sex trafficking. Absolutely. And evangelism.
Yep. I think I would change hate. I would take hate out of the world if I could just take anything away. And inequality.
Yes.
I think that they both go hand in hand, and so you just take that away. What would be a third thing I would change in the world? Because I would have said hunger too. And I think that inequality and everything kind of plays into that. That way, you don't have people who are going hungry while somebody else is, eating high on the hog, so to speak. So yeah, those are the things that I would change. And evangelism, I think that, I don't know how I would change it, but I think that I would probably make it more prevalent, make it more accessible. Yeah, more accessible. Okay. It's the ghost one. What do you think? Okay. I thought this was a hilarious question when I was cultivating my deck, okay? Because it's so ridiculous, but it's a hilarious question. What do you think ghosts do when they are not interacting with the living? They're not the chains or peeking around the corner or whatever it is that you see on those paranormal shows. It's like,
right?
We're not here. Come on.
Man, they're probably just chilling with each other, right?
Right.
They get their kicks and giggles just from messing with us.
Yeah. I figure if they've haunted a house, they're just living in the house like they always did, and you're coming in interrupting them, and that's why they're coming out and showing up.
Right. Life is normal.
I'm like, what do they do when they're not interacting with humans? That maybe they're waiting for the humans so that they have somebody to interact with. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was a funny question. If you could learn any language fluently, what would it be?
Italian.
See, that's what I was going to say.
That's my beautiful language.
My bucket list place to go visit is, I just need like however much time it takes me just to travel at my leisure around.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? If it wasn't Italian for me, I'm going to change my answer, Miss Tara.
Okay.
It would be Hebrew. It would be Old Hebrew. I'm 35% straight Ashkenazi Jew, and I would love to visit Israel and learn how to speak the language.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful language too. You listen to it, and it's very different. But yeah, definitely. Okay, so would you rather always have your car exterior clean but the interior be dirty, or vice versa?
vice versa. I can't handle a dirty inside. Can't do it. My kids know too.
Yeah, no, I would have to say the same. And I was really torn because I'm like, I want the outside and the inside clean.
Yeah,
I want it clean.
Right. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. But it's
But,
we also drive a truck and I'm like, it's supposed to get some mud on it.
But you spend most of your time inside the car and not outside. So that's where it needs to absolutely be clean at. I agree. Absolutely. Okay, so this is going to show our age disparity here. Trinity, did you grow up jamming with records, cassettes, tapes, portable CD players, or MP3 players?
Tapes and then portable CD players.
Yeah, I jammed with the records, and I can even date myself more. And I remember 8-tracks. I remember being a little kid, and we had a babysitter, and when we'd go in the car with her, she had an 8-track player in the car, and she used to play "Hit the Road Jack" by Ray Charles. Play it again. I would tell her, play it again, because you just had to hit the button. Yeah, but I've also lived through all the other stuff. But yeah, that's myself.
That's a cool memory, though.
Right. So what kind of culture exists in your organization, and how did you establish it?
Love, nurture, support, empowerment, guidance. I just have no tolerance for intolerance of anything else. And I have worked really hard to create that culture. I think the biggest thing, Tara, that I've learned along my journey is I have to meet people where they're at. And I never wanted to create a culture where there was some type of predefinition of who I could work with or, anything like that. Because you have to meet people where they are at, right?
Right.
But anything other than love or support or encouragement it's just a non-negotiable to me. We know we can walk through this life in a state of love and joy or a state of pain and misery. And I refuse to walk through life that way.
I refuse to walk through life that way too. And that's kind of the culture that we try and to create within Webinet's business, is that we want to be supportive. Yes, we have a job that we do, but to us, it's more than a job. I mean, it really is. It's a passion about the end result and not gaining the customer. And that is kind of the culture that we always want to project. And is a culture that we live by. We really make that a part of when we're talking with people, well, what can we do? How can we help you? Hey, again, if you need something, let me give you a card. I've got all kinds of contacts, so in having that caring concern and, in today's day and age, you call it a lot of customer service, but I think that that's a culture. It's not just customer service. It's a culture of service that you have to have. And if you have that culture, you're always going to have still a customer service.
Absolutely.
I mean, we realize in business, we're never going to please 100% of the people 100% of the time, but there is still a way to conduct ourselves that says that we're still service oriented. And, if you had to say no to me or I had to say no to you, that there's not anything that is not amicable about that. It's just, sometimes I'm not the right fit for somebody, and that's okay. So that's the culture that we try and keep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's love, it's respect, and it's courtesy. And, everyone I'll get on my soapbox about this. I promise I'll be quiet in just a minute. But everyone has a different skill set. Everyone is here on this earth providing a different value to this world, to this planet, to this, the entirety of humanity, right? And when you can highlight someone's superpower,
right,
give them the right tools, systems, love, and support, they flourish. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. What modern technology could you not live without?
My computer. Yeah. My computer.
My computer. Yeah. Definitely my computer. My phone would be my next one, but it's like a little mini computer that I carry with me all the time.
Yep.
But there are times when the computer is always going to trump the phone.
Yes, it really does. I could set my phone down and not touch it for 2 days. Can't live without my computer. I don't know, as a data person, I don't know if I could ever go back to good old fashioned pen and paper statistics and analytics.
Oh yeah, I don't know that I could do that either, but I couldn't do that on the computer either because I'm not a number person and you are. But because I'm tactile, I still like to take notes on pen and paper, but then I typically end up putting them in digitally as well. But it's something about being tactile, probably because I listened to 8-track tapes when I was a kid.
That's it.
That's why, because I can't let go. I'm not a product of change.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. I just think that I'm very tactile. So it helps me. And it helps me to remember things, which they say if you write things down, it helps you to remember. And I find that even if I'm taking notes digitally, which I have done, I don't retain the same as when I'm writing.
No. Yeah, there's a brain connection between handwriting, emotionally, your memory, all kinds of different benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm a jotter too. I'll be in some, especially if I'm brainstorming and I'm in a group, I'll be jotting things down and then I'll be scribbling things out. And then I'll be jotting more. And so that's just so much easier to me to do with a pen and paper than to try and do online.
For sure. I absolutely agree.
Okay. What was your first job?
My first job, I was a hostess at a little restaurant called the Country Inn. I was 15 years old, and it was kind of like a big boy. Do you remember what big boys were? Mm-hmm. So kind of like a big boy, but, privately owned. And I started as a hostess. Then I was a busser. Then I was a waitress. And then I opened their other locations.
Oh,
that was my first job.
Wow.
Yep. So
my first job, I worked for a little t-shirt shop in the mall, and they did they had one of those embroidery machines so they could create custom embroidery. So they sold big jackets for like baseball teams, and they would put their logos and their whatever on the shirts. They also had a way to screen print from like just prepackaged, so to speak, screen printing. So you could see up on the wall all of the different prints that we offered, and then you could go and buy your shirt in any color and say you wanted that, and then we had a big iron essentially that we had to put it in. And they also were the people within the mall structure, because that's where the store was, that at Christmas time they did the gift wrapping in the mall. Okay. So at Christmas time I would swap over there and wrap presents and then come back after Christmas and work in the t-shirt shop.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a very good first job. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun. Okay. What is something you're doing you never thought you would do?
I'm on this podcast. I'm like, that's something I never thought I'd do. It's so funny that you asked me that question today, Miss Tara, because I was literally just looking back. I know I started this conversation and I'm super transparent about my military lifestyle. And It's been a year since I've seen my husband. And I purposely designed this year to be a massive action year. And I've got to tell you, I have gotten about 3 years worth of work done in just one. So looking forward to a break and slowing down, right? But it was so funny because I was coming up to this, and the closer and closer and closer it gets to my husband coming home, the emotions just start to grow. And now there's so many different emotions. I can't even name a couple of them yet. So we'll see how I feel in just even, 4 more days from now. But one of the biggest ones was, did I get enough done? And I looked back at this year and I looked back. I know it's a silly thing for me to have an emotion about, but I look back and I'm going, oh my gosh, not only did I get so much done, but if I were to ask 24-year-old Trinity where she thought she was going to be in 10 years, this was not it. Okay. Right. I thought I was going to be a healthcare administrator for life. So yeah, being here with you today, something I never thought I'd do.
Yeah. I can't say that the podcast is a different thing, but again, we're going to go back to my age. And when I was a kid, what my dream job, and then it's all changed for us, obviously, but I was going to be the next Barbara Walters. I wanted to be a television journalist. And so this is not that far removed from that. So this is comfortable. I don't necessarily know that I would have saw myself doing this, but it's not something that I wouldn't have seen myself doing. going back to school at almost 50 was something that I wouldn't have ever seen in my life. And it's been very rewarding, and it's been a challenge because I started doing one thing and then Webinar came and it started growing. And so it created a lot of balls in the air to juggle. And sometimes that's the fun of it, actually, is trying to manage it all.
Well,
There's an excitement to it. Sometimes you have those days where it's like, okay, I'm failing at this miserably, but for the most part, there's that feeling of, okay, this is a lot of fun. Okay, I got to do this, and oh, this is happening. And because you have that constant sense of different things going on, and there's different accomplishments being made, that it stays exciting.
right. Yeah,
So,
I love that.
what website do you visit the most?
Does Google count?
No.
Probably not. No, because I'm like, that would be it. So website. It'd have to be one of my platforms. I'm 100% digital, and I work in multiple different platforms. I have membership portals, and that's where I'm at all day long.
Yeah, Amazon. Amazon's my one.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not buying anything, I'm on Amazon. If I'm thinking about something, oh, can I get this?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's almost like even if I'm not buying it right now, I just want to know, is it available? Do you have it? What does it look like? Yeah, so yeah, I spend a lot of time on Amazon. I frequent a lot of different websites just because that's what we do, is we build websites. So I'm looking at websites all the time, but there's not really anyone other than that I probably would say I visit the most.
Yeah. Amazon definitely changed my life during COVID.
Yeah.
Subscriptions, and obviously if you don't have Amazon Prime, you are missing out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be my most one there. So, well, Trinity, that was fun. That was was that a good UX experience for you?
That was a good user experience. Thank you, Ms. Tara.
So now we're going to go into our last segment of our discussion, and that's going to bring it back to a web presence. Tell me, I know you just said that you're fully digital. Mm-hmm. How are you using the web? I mean, so what does that fully digital look like for you, and how are you using it to propel you? What struggles are you having, and what are your plans for moving into the future?
All great questions. So, I was 100% virtual before COVID. Mm-hmm. So COVID didn't do this to me, right?
Right.
Thank goodness. Because that would have been a massive barrier to try to overcome in a very short amount of time to keep things rolling. Mm-hmm. So, I live online. I have 2 different websites, 2 domains that I own, one for the Aspire program and then one for my personal brand, paththroughsolutions.com. And between the 2 of those, I've then developed different membership portals, right? So all of my clients, anybody in the Aspire program, they have a membership portal. I have online classes that are recorded, with workbooks and things like that. All of my data and analytics, right, from my entire online presence, whether that's a website, social media, there we go. I live on social media. LinkedIn is my home. Mm-hmm. I feel lost without LinkedIn. Facebook too, not as much for me. I'm not big on like groups and things like that. My home is LinkedIn, and I'm a one-on-one connector. So there's the Zoom, all the video chatting and things like that. I'm like everything that you can think of, my CRM, my email campaign manager, all the systems, that a business owner has to have. I have them, and they definitely, it allows me to run my business instead of my business running me. Right. Which is another really common area that a lot of business owners, it's like a trap that they fall into, and their business starts to run them. Friends, you plan your goals in your business around your life, not your life around your business. And then you develop the tools and the system so that your business runs for you without you. That's freedom.
Exactly.
And I think I'm finally there. And I'm going to, take a sabbatical, and my husband comes home in a week from now, and I have no concern, no, not one, that for the 3 or 4 weeks that I am going to be MIA, believe me, off the grid, that my clients are going to be just fine. And they have every tool and every resource. They know how to navigate everything that they need. And their coaching, their program will continue, even though I'm stepping away for a minute.
Right.
That's a phenomenal feeling to have.
That's awesome. So do you see any, maybe not in that area, do you see any other struggles with anything that you have going on the web that you would like to be better, or you're working towards getting, or maybe you're not there yet?
Yeah, I definitely want to develop a more robust academy. I definitely want to do that. That's in the plans post dissertation publication. But I believe in two things, and you've heard me say it already, and that's access and cost. And if we can keep those barriers to entry low, more people will have the tools and the resources and even just the education that they need. I mean, if we look at even college, and you hear me talk about colleges and universities all the time, because I do my residency there. I'm super involved in the higher education landscape of things.
Right.
And a lot of reasons why enrollments are super down is because higher education costs so much money. It really does. And it is so closed. So again, just going back to what I'm really here to do, in the servitude that I'm here to do that in, it's to keep those barriers low. And so if I can build a larger academy that has all the tools and resources that I've already built, bringing in the other subject matter experts, full collaboration, and have a panel of, anybody can just raise their hand at any time. I need help with this. And there is somebody that's standing by that can help them. That's the dream. That's the vision.
And how do you think you're going to have what do you think the processes are to develop that?
So first, the partnerships, the right partnerships, the vetted people that have done the work, they've put in the time, their systems and processes are tried and true. It's the partnerships. And once I have the partnerships, like I said, everybody has a different skill set, a different superpower or secret sauce. You give them the empowerment and they will bring it. Let them roll it in. We are here to serve. So that's first. And then next, I would need a developer. I would need someone to help build the platform. I've got a little bit of background in coding, but not like build a whole platform or build an app, So that would be step 2.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. You're building your partnership so organically just through your program, because you're meeting all of these different people. That's really, really awesome. Well, so my very last question for you, Trinity, is if you had one super topic or suggestion or tip that you could give an entrepreneur to help propel them forward, what would it be?
Take accountability of your own self-mastery. Self-mastery is my mantra, and self-mastery is what has gotten me the success, not only in my personal life, my personal development, but also in my business. And self-mastery doesn't have to be daunting or scary. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out process. It is 3 simple steps. Figure out what you need to develop in your skill set, put in the work, put in the time, and test it. Keep your head down, needle-like focus until you've developed self-mastery in that area, one thing at a time. Doesn't have to be daunting.
Yep. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with me today, Trinity. It's always fun to see you, and I love talking to you. And if you're an entrepreneur or in business watching this, and I can't speak highly enough of her program, and what you will gain from it will just keep you going for time and time and time and time. So all of her contact information will be at the bottom of her Facebook information will be there, and her contacts information will be there, and on the podcast site as well. So Trinity, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will see you soon.
Yes, thank you.